Viewers, the second fault line takes us to the very edge, where all battle lines are blurring and the skies have become the deadliest. Battlefield yet. This is no conventional warfare anymore. This is drone warfare at an unprecedented scale. An air assault that is measured not in missiles but in swarms. And it's rewriting the rules of modern combat. Swarm after swarm of drones and missiles. It's the largest drone attack yet. Russia launched over 700 unmanned weapons across Ukraine, including 300 that were supersonic missiles and supersonic drones that were fired. The target, well, it was not just the Ukrainian cities, but also the air skies, the bases, the energy hubs, all of it, and most importantly, the spirit. Well, Poland scrambled its jets, NATO was forced into complete alert, and once again, the world watched as red lines were once again being tossed and completely being bypassed. The aerospace also was violated. The Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, in fact, voiced his frustration in terms of why it looks like a possible deal on the table looks farther and farther away than what it did in the 3 years of this war. And we're going to decode that in detail. But first up, I want to play out that soundbite of Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
Well, our strategy is to continue to engage all the parties that are involved in finding an outcome to this conflict. We will engage any time that we have an opportunity to do so, like we did today.
It isn't just about territory anymore. It's about a message. It's about telling Ukraine that as it fights back with interceptor drones and mobile squads, they are entering a new phase of a deadly war where speed, scale, and several other matrices are being tested, and they are the new normal. And this report tells you how drone warfare is changing the face of modern battlefield and why the end game may be soon and very soon out of reach as it stands. Take a look at this report.
The skies over Ukraine are no longer just an open space. They are war zones, trapdoors of terror. This week, Russia launched its most massive drone offensive yet. 728 aerial weapons, including decoy drones, surveillance crafts, Shaheds, Kinzhals and Iskander missiles. The goal? To overwhelm, to outpace and to outlast. President Zelensky calls it a new era of warfare where Ukraine's air defenses are being tested not by precision but by persistence. This is death by 1,000 drones, a tactic where volume substitutes for accuracy and exhaustion becomes a strategy. Ukraine's answer? Interceptor drones, mobile fire teams and homemade tech from 4 domestic companies designed to match and shoot down incoming waves. But as Zelensky pushes for a scaled-up production, Russia is moving fast, and its targets are more strategic than symbolic. This week's barrage hit Lutsk, near the Polish border. It's a critical lifeline for Western military aid. Poland scrambled its jets and NATO raised its alert. And while the West hesitated, the war evolved. This is no longer about tanks and trenches. Modern warfare now flies, it buzzes, and it never stops. Now the question is, how long can Ukraine and the world keep up?
This is what we must focus on first. We must stop Russian drones and missiles. And this means more air defense supplies and more investments in interceptor drones, air defense systems, and of course missiles. And I urge all our partners, increase your investments.
All right, viewers, we now talk about how diplomacy is now literally at a knife's edge as things stand right now in this war. And let's put that out because there have been repeated efforts as far as diplomacy and possible peace solutions are concerned. None look feasible right now. And let's put that out for you to understand. Now, first and foremost, they've traded some possible peace ideas. US and Russia, Marco Rubio and Sergei Lavrov, they've discussed some possible peace ideas. Nobody knows as to whether they are palatable on their end or not. So right now, there is no real peace deal on the table. Next up, Donald Trump has actually slammed Putin's, yes, He said that. We've put those asterisks and stars for you to understand. This is what Donald Trump is. He said that in so many words. He's voicing his frustration. This is a president who said that I'm going to end this war in 24 hours. It's nowhere close to actually being possibly ending anytime soon. And that frustration that is being voiced tells you that America is also having its back to the wall, running out of options. Next up, Republican hawks are now rallying behind Donald Trump to be able to, for some tough sanctions against Vladimir Putin. If that happens, look at the huge departure that America itself would have gone in terms of policy, because here Donald Trump was talking about sanctions waiver for Russia, saying that Putin is going to help him solve several problems as far as the Middle East is concerned. Now there's a potential sanctions on the Russian president himself. Listen in to what some of the Republican lawmakers had to say when they were pitching for those tough sanctions.
July is going to be the magic month for bone-crushing sanctions on Vladimir Putin. He better get ready, because his economy, already on its heels, is going to be hit hard by these sanctions.
President Trump has earnestly reached out to Putin. I applaud his efforts to end this brutal bloodbath in Ukraine. But it takes willing partners. Ukraine has been willing, Putin has not.
I think you'll find in the Senate broad support for Ukraine. I think the president trying to be a mediator just simply hasn't had the success that all of us hoped he would have. Now it's time to face the fact that Mr. Putin wants war. He has no intentions of stopping, as many of us have said from day one.
Next, what is the kind of sanctions and tariffs they're looking at? 500% as far as some of those Putin backers are concerned. That tells you nothing but America's frustration, because as I said, there is no peace deal on the table. Let's move ahead and tell some of the other 2 points that tell you why diplomacy is on a knife's edge. Trump blames chaos on own team's missteps. If he feels that things could have turned out differently had they handled the situation better. Lastly, now, Zelensky is pressing for both EU and the US for some sort of an urgent backing. Remember, there's also been back and forth as far as whether or not Ukraine should get weapons. If it's getting weapons back, then look at the kind of departure that the war has itself taken, because Donald Trump said he's not going to give weapons to Ukraine till about 3 weeks back. As I said, diplomacy is on a knife's edge, and let's get in Fred Meyer to talk more about this. He's a journalist joining us from Russia. Mr. Meyer, thanks so much for speaking to NDTV on Fault Lines. My question to you, sir, as things stand right now, after the drone attack, it looks like peace is farther away than what it was in the last 3 years.
Well, yes, I think the basic problem here is that Russia is convinced it will win this war in the long run. These massive drone attacks show that its war economy can sustain the production of these new weapons at such an astronomical scale. And the Russians have spelled out their war objectives rather clearly in several occasions. Putin, his foreign minister, other officials have made it really clear what their bottom line war objectives are. And the Trump idea is, and Ukraine hopes that Trump can do this, he will step in, use his influence with Putin to obtain concessions for Ukraine that Ukraine couldn't win on the battlefield. So I think in the past week or so, the conversation with Trump and Putin made it clear that he is not backing down on any of his major war objectives. Either they will be delivered over a negotiating table, or Russia will hang in and win them on the battlefield. So that is where things stand, and I think that we can only look for greater escalations of the war in the weeks to come.
All right, let's leave it there. Mr. Fred Meyer, thanks so much for speaking to us. Hopefully the next time we'll talk about more peace options rather than battlefield really providing all the solutions. Well, viewers, as things stand right now, where does this all end? Well, as of now, there are no answers. 3 years into this war, battlefield has changed beyond recognition. Trump is frustrated with Putin, and Republican lawmakers are begging for more sanctions. But what's at stake here is political capital of Donald Trump and political capital of Vladimir Putin. And as things stand, neither of them are backing down. Both feel that they can extract the best deal on the table. Unfortunately, there isn't one right now that is on the table. All right, viewers, well, that's a wrap on this edition of Fault Lines. And with that, we're going to end this episode. We're going to come back next week with decoding more fault lines, more details that the world needs to now know in greater insight. Thanks so much for watching this.